Hello, everyone. Welcome to Why Wellness. I'm Gina Rose, a certified personal trainer and fitness nutrition specialist, and I created this platform for so many of us to share our why. Oftentimes, we hear this buzzword question in the health and fitness industry, and I couldn't think of a better way than to compile our stories right here on my podcast, Why Wellness. We're here discussing inspiring, relatable, and motivating stories from health and fitness professionals across various platforms. Please subscribe, rate, and share my podcast. It would mean so much to me. I can't wait to share this next episode with you. Hey everyone, welcome back to Why Wellness. This is your host, Gina Rose, CPT, and I am solo on today's episode number 7. I would strongly encourage, if you haven't already, to head back to episodes 1 through 6 and take a listen to everything that we've been chatting about so far on this podcast. If you're new to it, we chat about the buzzword question, what's your why? And these stories are told by health and fitness professionals. And I started telling you a little bit about my own personal story in episode 1. So if you remember, we talked a little bit about how I found the fitness industry and what that turning point was like for me personally. I also chatted a little bit about, some takeaways that I had from that earlier on time, which was just trusting your timing, even though it might be difficult in that actual moment, and allowing yourself to be lost in those moments where you are lost or you are unsure. That gives you room to grow, to evolve, and to experience things that you may have never experienced before. So, again, if you haven't listened to episode 1, head on back there before you listen to this episode. And I just wanted to take a moment and really express gratitude to all 5 of my guests that have been on the show so far. We are just getting started, and I'm so excited for how this podcast will continue to evolve. And when I first created this podcast, I really had no idea what it was that I was doing from a production point of view. And I still really don't. But one thing's for sure, I definitely wanted to bring people together and tell the stories that aren't really being heard. These stories are about following a dream and working hard to accomplish it. They're stories about, being defeated or hurt, but continuing to press on and not giving up. There's stories about changing our mindset and shaping basically what becomes our ultimate path. And, there's stories about enlightening us and encouraging us to have open minds. And of course, about why we do what we do, how we do it, and the information that we need to help improve our wellness in every single way. And you may have noticed that I have several different wellness spaces featured so far, because this is really about our whole being, our whole body, our mind, body, soul, no matter what particular practice or field it might be in. So, to give you a quick recap, we had on episode number 2, Sarah Spund, a dear friend of mine. She is a psychotherapist in the Baltimore area. So we chatted a lot about mental health. We chatted about her journey toward this industry and how she started out with dancing and running and so much more. So that was such a wonderful episode. Thank you, Sarah, for being on. And then in episode 3, we had a dear friend of mine, a mentor, a coach. He is the IDEA Fitness Trainer of the Year, and he owns the Lab Sports in New Jersey. And his name is Michael Piercy. And we chatted so much about, fitness, coaching, writing, entrepreneurship, and so many amazing tidbits from that one. Thank you, Michael, for coming on. I really appreciate your ongoing support, mentorship, and friendship overall. Episode 4, we had Monica Jones. She is a performance coach. She is the co-creator of Bash Boxing. She's an Under Armour athlete, and she and I spoke early on when quarantine and COVID-19 was kind of at the onset. So we spoke a lot about dealing with, our mindset during that time. And of course, touching on her journey into the fitness industry and into the boxing space. So thank you, Monica, for being on the show. Episode 5, we had Dr. Tom Ingenio. He is from Charm City Integrative Health, and he was so knowledgeable and shared so much wisdom in his space of acupuncture, cryotherapy, and other therapeutic services that really made us feel good during a moment still in that quarantine time. And we had so many good tidbits to take away from that. Thank you, Dr. Tom. And then our most recent guest we had on the show was my friend Dr. Amar Singh. He is a board certified pediatric dentist, a clinical professor, and the owner of Happy Teeth in the Philadelphia area. And he and I spoke about all the tips and tricks for how oral health and hygiene and taking care of our teeth affects the whole body. So it's such a great topic that not many people would think about when you think of the wellness space, because it's so far removed from the medical industry and fitness and everything like that, but it really does play a role in our overall health. So thank you, Amr, for coming on the show. So today I want to talk to you guys about where we left off in my story. So again, if you haven't listened to episode 1, please go back and listen. But we're going to jump right back in to where I left off in that story. And if you remember, I told you how in 2012 I had lost my job for the first time, and um, it really gave me the opportunity to find what it is that I was passionate about. And I found myself in a gym one day and, fell in love with the gym in that moment and realized that I wanted to be in this industry in some way, shape, or form. Just wasn't quite sure how. So I told you that I got a job at a club in Baltimore as a membership sales representative. And that's sort of where we left off. My career path. And I wanted to talk to you a little bit more about how my career path evolved since that time because, it's 2020 right now. We're talking 2012. So, what is that, 8 years ago? Um, so, I started as a membership sales representative selling gym memberships, and that was my first time in a facility. I had never been a member of a gym before, so I wasn't super knowledgeable. I told you that I had kind of self-taught myself how to use gym equipment in the facility that was at my apartment complex, and then I was running and doing some 5K races and things like that. So I didn't feel like, I was doing the best job that I could possibly be doing by not having all of this knowledge that I knew I needed to catch up on. So I thought the quickest path to learning more was to become a student. And there was no better place for me to do that than inside of the gym. So I started studying for my personal training certification. So I enrolled in the National Academy of Sports Medicine, and it took all of the time. So you're given a certain amount of time to study, get all of the worksheets, all of the weekly quizzes, and get through an entire textbook before you take a final exam. And I took all of the time, like to the very last T, so I could make sure that I was, learning all of the muscles and learning how nutrition played a role and learning about different human movement systems and, learning about equipment and what to look for and things like that. So I, loved studying for that because I had so many fitness professionals around me in the gym. So I took my certification, became certified, but honestly, I don't really feel like you fully become a fitness professional or a trainer until you've had like your first client. So yeah, you can go through the certifications, get the piece of paper, learn and kind of coach yourself through proper movements and techniques. But it really starts to come when you are basically being responsible for someone else's programming, someone else's fitness levels, and helping coach them through their own personal needs, which are very different than your own. And I find that a lot of times, young trainers might try to um, coach a client to do the same things that they themselves do. And I found out very early on that that doesn't necessarily work. You really need to understand the other person's general and medical history, their physical activity readiness, which a lot of trainers are used to hearing as a PAR-Q, which is some basic questions that you go over, in addition to, body compensation, circumference measurements, body fat percentage, things like that, um, that you go over during an assessment. And those answers to those questions are going to give you a good base for beginning to develop a program for that individual. So you need to ask, first and foremost, you need to make sure that they're cleared by a medical doctor to perform any physical activity with you. You need to know if they, get dizzy easily, if they're on any medications, if they have high blood pressure or any heart conditions. You need to know what level of physical fitness they're already at, if this is new to them, or if they've already tried something, if they have any injuries. There's so much to it before, getting into the actual program. So until you're able to go through that confidently several times, and from beginning to end, not just the beginning phases, but also an ending of a program. And, clients don't stay with you forever. And in fact, hopefully that's the goal, right? They come to you, and at some point they reach a goal, or they're able to feel confident enough to maintain the program on their own. And there's something to be said about the word personal in front of trainer, because this experience for many people is very personal. It's sensitive. There are health issues, and there are image issues, and there are financial issues that people are experiencing when they go through making the decision about whether or not they're going to hire a personal trainer, or whether or not they're even going to buy a gym membership, for that matter. So I think that it takes a very specific type of personality to be able to walk that thin line between, yes, you want to help them, but are you really able to help them achieve the goals that they need? And are you the right fit for them? Because not every trainer is the right fit for every client. And, that is something that I loved being accustomed to, working with so many other trainers, because different trainers have different skill levels and different certification levels, and they specialize in different things. And I think that that's the beauty of it. So my first memories of training was at the Maryland Athletic Club in Baltimore. A great space. I had a great group of people around me, a great group of trainers that remain my friends today. And I view them as such, respected fitness professionals. So shout out to the team down there. You guys know who you are. So from there, so I spent 3 years doing that. I was selling gym memberships, I was working out, learning about my own physical fitness, and I was also um, becoming a new trainer and figuring out if I felt confident enough to kind of take other people's fitness wishes into my hands and help them get from A to B. So I did that for 3 years, absolutely loved it. And there came a time when I was looking for growth professionally, and it wasn't necessarily available at the time. So again, timing, right? So I was ready to kind of take the next step, and that step wasn't available in the situation that I was in. So I decided to, it was a really tough decision, but I took a step outside of the fitness industry for about 1 year. And what I did during that year was work for a radio station as a sports marketing account executive. So I was working at 105.7 The Fan, and that was some of the best experience I could possibly have, especially when it comes to building my network in and around the Baltimore area and beyond. I met so many people, whether it was people from your mom and pop shops to national campaign account decision makers, athletes. We spent a lot of time talking about sports, obviously, because we were the sports station. So we were in and around sporting events all the time. We were at Orioles games, we were at Ravens games, we were at Maryland games, Terps. We were at all of these different sporting events. So imagine, all of the different people that I had the opportunity to meet with and to network with. And basically, what I did there was, sold advertising. So I would meet with business owners and set weekly appointments. Um, and I would pitch them assets from sports, on site sports activations, digital, mall media, radio, obviously. And I work side by side with athletes and their PR teams to record endorsements and events. So lots of amazing experience there, but something was missing. Again, I wasn't in the fitness industry, and that had always just tugged at me. Like I needed to be in and around fitness in some way, shape, or form. And this is a situation that played to my favor. So I was at a Ravens game working at 1057 The Fan. We had a suite and we had walked Jonathan Ogden up from the suite up to the Under Armour suite. And in there was Ray Lewis and Michael Phelps and lots of other awesome people, cool people to be around. And obviously to be able to network with. And in that moment, I had met the owner of FX Studios. And that was when I was given an opportunity to communicate with the owner. And within, I would say, 3 months, I was working at the Under Armour Performance Center as the membership sales manager. And that was like my golden ticket. I thought at the time that was my golden ticket to, where I would be spending the rest of my career. Not to get into all of the details, but I experienced another hardship, another job elimination after about 10 months. And, that one, when you get laid off one time, you don't think it's going to happen again, and it did. And when that happened, I took it 1,000 times harder than the first time that it happened, because this was the position, this was where I was certain that I was supposed to be. So that emotional journey kind of put me on this whirlwind of where I am today. And I have learned so much since that time. That's when I started my own business. Now, I had been a trainer for 3 years at that time, and I have trained um, under the umbrella of other fitness facilities, but I had never been my own business. I had never been a sole proprietor. And that's when I started training as Gina Rose CPT, and it has been going on 2.5, 3 years now. And this journey of being independent and solo and just being responsible for your own income has helped me grow exponentially and really make me understand like what's important, who's there supporting you, and kind of everything that it takes. So I in my next episode, because I like to keep these solo episodes short, we'll talk to you guys about what it was like starting my own business and that whole journey leading to right now. So make sure that you guys stay following along and catching up with all of the episodes. I will be having more guests on the show from different spaces within the wellness industry. So stay tuned. We have some really exciting professionals coming on. And the next time that I come on solo, you'll hear that journey, and I will start getting into all of my tips about starting your own business as a fitness professional. And that does it, guys. Thank you so much for listening through to the end of that episode. I hope you'll share this with your friends, your family, and your network so we can continue growing this community even more and hear the stories that have yet to be told. Please let me know your thoughts too. Reach out, tell me what you've learned, tell me what's resonated with you, and let me know who you want to hear from next. I can't wait to talk to you guys soon.